Oh, good evening, everyone. Thank you all for coming out. My name is Douglas Lawson. I am the counselor here in Riviera Beach, Commissioner District 5. I was newly elected into the city, and I wanted to bring some change, some quality change to our community, things that our community has never seen, an approach that would actually change the dynamic of what we look at 20 years from now. The legacy of our city is so important, and that's based on our youth, our seniors, our working class, the people here. We have 70% in our city minorities. 83% are black and brown. 70% are black. In this community, we don't realize the importance of mental health in our community. So we have to really take a stand and actually talk about it, have these discussions. I'm a former owner of a mental health substance abuse treatment center. I owned one for about 5 years. And that was a priority for me, especially in my minority community. So what I wanted to do is introduce it to the residents of our city, something that we could have these discussions and talk about. So I definitely want everybody to pay attention, stay focused, stay engaged, be open, be honest, and this is a safe zone. I wanted to have it here in City Hall because this is a place for all of us to share. This is our city. This is our City Hall. We're going to share this chambers and do the things that's necessary to actually move us forward as a community. I'm going to introduce our host of the night, the young lady that I've been working with for a number of years. I've known her for over 10 years. And she was actually working as a therapist within my organization. I've sat down with her, and I think she came up with the name Couch Time with Issa based on how much time I asked her to sit on her couch. So, Ms. Issa Allen, thank you so much. She's going to be our first host, please. And one thing I just wanted to say is my goal and my mission is not to micromanage, not to oversee. I'm not smarter than anyone. I just put the right people in place to help move our community forward. So I'm turning this over to Ms. Issa Allen to make sure she puts on a great forum for you guys tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alex. Is this on? Okay. I want to thank Alex, or Douglas, as you guys know him, so much for allowing me to put this on together. This is something that I do as a profession. I've been doing it for 12 years. I've been in the mental health field for 12 years. I've been doing it as a mental health counselor for children of trauma, substance abuse, as he said, and ADHD, PTSD, and numerous traumas of mental health. So I'm really excited, and I'm really, really happy to see the turnout that I have tonight, because it's something that is really needed. And I deal with the kids. And in dealing with the children, I've learned that when I talk to my kids, I try to make a change. I reach them, and then they go home. And then they go home to an environment that is kind of one that kind of created whatever it is that they're going through. So this first panel is geared to just kind of boost, or like a rally to say for everyone to go out and break the stigma of mental health, one. And moving forward, every other event once a month will be geared towards a specific disorder or a mental illness, whether it be depression, anxiety, bipolar, ADHD, autism, or whatever it is. But we'll speak specifically on those items, and then have a discussion within the community for them to educate, or to educate you guys, for you guys to get some insight and then take it home, and so that we can just build our community. I'm going to start off with my co-host, Marissa. Have her introduce herself, and then we'll go.
Hello, everyone. My name is Marissa Davis Martin, owner and operator of Martini Girls Mobile Bar Service. I have no form of education in mental health. I just think I'm kind of mentally challenged, so I felt like I should be here. It's easier to speak on it when you have those who gather around you. And I myself came up in a shaky household, so I figure whatever platform I can have to open the doors for someone else to feel comfortable speaking on it, I'm all for it. So I'm here.
I want to thank Marissa for taking the challenge on. When I asked her, she was openly, readily to be a part of it. I am what I like to consider myself a realist person, so I didn't want like a whole bunch of people who were just going to say a lot of gibberish. I wanted people from the community who was real and who went through stuff, and so that they can share their stories and help the community as a whole. My next co-host is Lee Meyer.
Hello, hello. How are you guys doing? Doing all right. I'm Lee Meyer Gowire. I'm a 10-year professional basketball player. Grew up right here in the city of Riviera Beach. And I'm actually honored that Issa reached out to me. I actually had a really difficult childhood, and I managed to navigate everything I went through and still managed to make it to a professional level. So for me to be here and give insight on the things I was able to overcome and the strategies I used, it's an absolute blessing. So I appreciate you again.
Thank you, Lee Meyer. I appreciate it as well. Ricky, come up. So I also got people within the community who is already doing something in the community to help everyone. And this here is Ricky Atkins, and I'll have him introduce this.
I'm Ricky Aiken, the founder and executive director of Inner City Innovators. Inner City Innovators is a nonprofit corporation committed to eradicating youth delinquency and gun violence in the inner city of West Palm Beach first and then beyond. You may know my mentoring group by the Hope Dealers. That's what we go by in the community. I'm extremely excited to be here and kind of share my experiences with the topic. So thank you for this opportunity. This is just an introduction, right? Oh, all right. All right. I'm first. My bad, y'all. A lot of my work around gun violence comes from my personal experiences. You know, I was born and raised in West Palm Beach in the Dunbar Village housing projects. My mom struggled with drug addiction around the time of my birth, so I was raised by my grandmother. And my grandmother was a wonderful woman. You know, she did the best she could, but she had her bouts with alcoholism. So growing up with her was very, very tough. You know what I'm saying? It was like living with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. For a few weeks, she was the most loving, supportive person you could ever have in your life. And then the other 2 weeks when she started drinking, she could be extremely neglectful and emotionally abusive. And that was kind of a lot of it for me, was the things that really happened on an emotional level. I remember as early as 3rd grade being labeled as being emotionally handicapped and as having a slow learning disability. Now, I remember upon first getting those labels, I always wondered if there was something wrong with me. I automatically didn't feel as smart or as privileged as my classmates and things like that. So it kind of threw a damper in my head on my educational outlook. And what didn't help is I had 2 older brothers. Both of my older brothers were the neighborhood dope dealers. So as I got older, and I didn't think I was going to do well in school, I wasn't athletically inclined, I naturally felt like I would follow in the footsteps of my older brothers. So for a large part of my childhood, that's what I thought I wanted to become. Fast forward to 11th grade, I dropped out of high school. I started running the streets with my friends on more than a part-time basis. I've seen many of my friends shot, lose their lives to gun violence, rather perpetrating or being victimized by it. And for me, growing up at that time, it was all normal. It was all a normal part of growing up in the community. It's just what life was. I didn't realize how unnatural it was until I was able to get a little older in life and I was able to turn things around in my own life. And one of the first things that kind of jumped out to me as I was preparing for this, I was doing a live stream last week where I made a confession about something that I was seeing in my life. And it was in the realm of relationships and girls, you know. I always thought back on my childhood. Everybody in my hood has this childhood. This is just the way it is for all of us, and I'm normal now. I can move on. But I started seeing this pattern in my life that is in the realm of mental health. I started noticing that every time I had a girlfriend, the relationships would end about the same way. Now, let me tell you a little background about who I am and what I've been able to accomplish in the community. The year 2015 was one of the deadliest summers on record in West Palm Beach. We lost many of my young friends and young men that I had worked with in the community. We led peace marches, and we did a lot to turn things around. Fast forward to the summer of 2016, because of our work in the community, we went from over 20-plus murders in the Tamarind Corridor to 0 in 2016. So we were seeing a lot of promise. You know, it's my conviction that real change happens when the people who need it lead it. So it was nothing more than me and my homeboys who grew up together stepping up to provide perspective on what was going on and doing our part to reach the young men who live there. And so I had all these great things happening in my life. I even ended up running for city commissioner in West Palm Beach, District 1. I ended up coming in second place with 4,000 votes. So it was like on the outside, you know, here I was, this kid that dropped out of school, making this tremendous difference in this community. He ran for office. Now I'm a housing authority commissioner. On the outside, everything looks great. It looks like the perfect kind of overcoming story. But when you looked at my relationships, it was a different story. If you were to ask my ex-girlfriends and things of that nature, they'd probably tell you that dude is the devil. He's not what he looks like on the outside. And so after relationship, I thought, they tripping, they hating, they're just mad because the relationship didn't end the way they thought it would end. Then I had this friend of mine. She's in the mental health field. I don't remember exactly what she is. I just know she knows what she's doing. And she gave me she gave me this book on dialectical behavior therapy. Am I saying that right? Yeah, and I got the book, and I'm like, man, what's she giving this to me for? So I went and I Googled it, and I Googled what that therapy was for. And she didn't diagnose me or anything, but I know when I went to look at what borderline personality disorder is and how it impacts relationships, it was as if I was reading somebody that was writing a biography of my life in relationships. And I was shocked. I was really shocked because growing up, there was always a stigma around anything mental health related. Anytime there's something wrong, even when I was in those classes and I had to go to class, I wait till all my friends who had regular class went to their class first before I went to mine because I didn't want them to think there was anything wrong with me. So there's always been this stigma. So I remember sitting there and I'm Googling this and I'm looking it up and I'm like, man, this is me. It was a scary thing. It was a shameful thing. But upon reading that, I gained a better understanding of why I behaved the way I did. I gained a better understanding of the fact that people that go through what I went through growing up, as refined as I am now, as much of the inner work that I had done, there were just certain things I couldn't do for myself. There were certain things I couldn't understand about myself. And that gave me such a degree of freedom that I had never had before. And since getting that information, I've been equipping myself with the tools to become more well-rounded in those areas. And I shared that. I don't want to go too much longer over my time, but I shared that to let y'all know that none of us, like we all come into this world whole, and the families we're born into, they rather good or bad, they can have a large degree on breaking us up and causing things that can happen in us that we never wanted to happen. And the more we try to shove those things to the bottom, you know, especially as men, we're taught to man up. We're taught not to express or own our emotions. That could be detrimental to our own healing and development. So I'm not ashamed to tell people what I struggle with, what my problems are, because I know that in uncovering those things, I open the door to future healing. When we think about violence, and I'll close with this, when you think about the gun violence that's happening in our community, that gun violence is not the cause. It's the effect of young men that are broken, and they're being taught to shove their feelings to the bottom of their hearts and deal with it. And no human beings can deal with the things that our young brothers are dealing with and come out normal. So I thank y'all for your time, and I'll be here for the Q&A.
Thank you. Thank you for that. As you were kind of describing your behavior traits, I'm back here smiling and laughing because that's technically kind of signs like that's borderline personality disorder, and I'm like excited. That's what it is. And she did diagnose you, by the way. She did. My next guest is Devin. Again, I'll have him introduce himself.
Well, they're going to make me go ahead and follow Ricky Aiken after he just came up here and killed it. But my name is Devin Lewis Buchanan, and I'm the CEO and founder of Inspire Youth Services here in West Palm Beach. And to kind of just give you how I got into all of what I'll be talking about a little bit, just kind of give you guys one little bit of personal history, and then I'll kind of go into how I got started with my organization. So when I was growing up here in West Palm Beach, I actually am a Suncoast Charger. Yeah, okay, so we got some Chargers in the building. All right, so I went to the high school, Suncoast High School, graduated, and was given the opportunity to play football at the next level at the University of Louisiana. And at the time, I identified myself as a football player, like many young men who play this sport, and they identify and they shape their identities around those things. That was what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do. That's everything I wanted to do. And at the time I was 17, getting ready to go off to college, my uncle, my best friend, guy, he was at the time, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia at the age of 18. And from the time he was 15, he had his first bout of psychosis. Extreme mental illness is severe. I remember visiting him as a child at 45th Street Mental Health, which is now Jerome Golden. And at the time, I did not know exactly what my uncle was diagnosed with because of my family not being able to interpret it in a way where I could receive it. So they would just say, hey, you know, he's sick, he's at the hospital. And at the young age of about 11, I thought, you know, sick meaning he has asthma or something like that. And so there was never really an explanation about what exactly my uncle was going through. And so when I was 17 years old, he passed away at the age of 31 years old. And I can remember just how all my family got together, and they were just wanting to talk about, you know, some of the things that he battled with and everything about, you know, what my uncle had to go through and how he suffered. And it wasn't until I got older and I realized that his suffering didn't really come from his illness. It came from the stigma of the family members in our family, because they sheltered him from a life of normalcy. They sheltered him from the community because they thought that people would actually see him and it would embarrass them about what he went through. And so when I think about that now, and it's crazy how life kind of comes full circle, I think about how, you know, we could have, as family members, given my uncle actually an opportunity to live a fulfilling life with that diagnosis. And after going off to go play college, about a couple years later, got a chance to go to the NFL with the Oakland Raiders for a rookie camp. And 3 days later, I got cut and I got sent home. And I had that question that a lot of athletes do after they transition back home is, what do I do next? And I began working in the system of foster care. I did not know that that would have a profound impact on my life the way that it did, but I began working with kids who were needing to retain independent living skills because they didn't have the families in order to give them those skills. And so I was teaching these kids about, you know, how to wash laundry, how to money manage, all these things that at the age of 22 I was still needing to learn how to do as well as I transitioned out of college. But it kind of gave me an opportunity to just see myself outside of that image of being an athlete. And at the moment I saw that, I kind of started to shape my life a little bit more in that side of social services. And so I'm currently right now doing my master's at Barry University in social work. And it's kind of crazy how it all kind of comes full circle, because about 2 years ago, I was working with an organization. I was a therapeutic mentor. And I was working with a young man who was recently incarcerated. He got released, and he was supposed to follow up with services for mental health. And I remember sitting with this young man in the office with one of the therapists, and of course, all the therapists at our agency at the time were all white young women. And he sat down across from this lady, and he sat next to me, and he said, listen, I'm going to tell you straight up, I ain't doing no therapy with you. Point blank, period. And he was like, you don't know me, you're not from my environment, and I already got a mama, I don't need a mama. And just walked out. And I remember walking out with him, and I was just walking out the door, and I was like, man, so if we had a male therapist, would you talk to him? And he said, well, if you was a therapist, I'll talk to you. And at the time, I'm like, dude, I ain't going back to school, so you could just kind of kill that, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I heard what he said, but I missed the message, right? And so at maybe 3 months after that conversation we had, this young man wound up getting rearrested for a violation of probation. And about a week later, they released him, awaiting another placement for a program. And at that time, his mindset was, as soon as something goes wrong, then it's just a trickle-down effect. Everything's out the window. Everything's off the table. And so this young man went out in the act of trying to rob somebody, wound up shooting that person and getting charged with attempted murder. And I just remember how bad I took it when I saw him on the news. And I was just like, man, like he was asking for help, but I didn't have the tools to help him. And so a couple months later, after that stirred with me, I decided to start my organization with providing services in a non-traditional setting for mental health for adolescents. And in that time, I didn't really understand exactly what I was, really doing, but in my mind, I knew that it had to be something that would need to be done. And so in this time, in this space that I've given myself to kind of learn, I've also decided to take myself through the coursework to actually gain the tools to provide these services. And so I think when we talk about, a young man like Ricky who overcomes so much, and we talk about the resiliency in our community, it's so profound because we are going through things that are historically, we can't even think of how much we as a community have suffered at the hands of things that's not even our fault. But at the same time, it's our job to heal ourselves, right? And so as a community, we have to be the ones that lead that. And so Ricky gave that powerful quote about real change happen when the people who need it lead it. But the big thing I want us to understand that stigma thrives on shame, and shame thrives on silence. And so the more we stay silent as a community, we suffer, right? Thank you.
Appreciate that. Ms. Cañeda.
I get to follow all that. You guys pretty much said everything I was going to say. But my name is Kenyatta Conaway, and I am a clinical director for our in-home family therapy program. I have been in the social services field for over 15 years, working with the Department of Children and Families. And for the last 5 years, I've been working with families with children who are at risk of coming into licensed care. Most of these families is substance use, it's domestic violence, and mainly it's mental health, and it's mental health that is not treated at all. A lot of times what happens in the community is that people tend to ignore it. They choose to turn a cheek to it because of shame, because of what people are going to think about them. Am I going to be rejected? Am I going to be a part of something? And a lot of everything that we do is just trying to fit in. So, what's your name again? Devin. So I'm a little bit nervous, and you're gonna be my new friend because you're pretty much following down the same footsteps that I did. When I was a social worker, I was an independent living specialist in St. Lucie County. And this one kid that was on my caseload, she suffered from depression, she suffered from bipolar, she had a history of sexual abuse. She was raped. She did everything that she could do to kind of get herself away from that environment so she would just run away. So on her 18th birthday, I knew she was coming back because she called me and said, "Hey, Miss Kenyatta, I'm ready to get everything done that I need to get done." She came back. I took her to get a driver's license. I took her to get a bank account. I took her to get an apartment. So what triggered me, and it still hurt me to this day, that this young lady walked into this apartment and tried to flip the light switch up because she thought that the lights came with the apartment. And this kid did not get the independent living skills that she needed to get. She did not get the mental health services that she needed to get, and it hurt me. So I decided to open up a nonprofit organization, which is called Stairways to Success, and our mission is to empower lives one step at a time. I did it with nothing, just hope and with faith. I actually have 2 of my young adults here today, just to keep them on the right path as well. So my goal is to plant seeds in the lives of all so that collectively we ignite inspiration in which others may grow. And the mere fact that the city of Riviera Beach is doing this right now, and Issa is standing in her mission for the city of Riviera Beach is already happening. So I'm standing in my why right now. Our why is everybody that's in here.
There is a common denominator between all of us. I didn't pick it because of that. I didn't know anybody's story. I didn't ask anyone's story. I just asked for help to come and help promote mental health in the minority communities. But the common denominator here is trauma. Trauma as a child, trauma as, growing up. Our parents didn't know, or they didn't have the resources or basic needs, and they did what they can or they could, and we're proof that you can make it. I am from here. I was raised on J Avenue and 35th for the first 10 years of my life, and this was back in the 80s, and they had like drive-bys every second, and my earliest memory was like walking around the house and my aunt yelling at me to duck. Where? It was gunshots outside, and everybody had to duck. And I was like, I'm a kid, you know what I'm saying? And these are the memories that kind of imprint on us as to who we become and who we are and why we do what we do. And it's just a trickling effect, you know? And promoting mental health, now it's just something that once we heal ourselves, it will trickle down into our children, which is my passion. It'll trickle down in our community, and we will see more results as a people to step up and do more and be more, and not just the typical, you know, like half my kids in school, all they see, they don't even try to be a rapper anymore. They're just straight to drug dealing, straight to being in a gang. My girls, they just want to be like the next social media thing. You know, these are like 12 and 13, 14-year-olds, and that they're like on social media naked, like, where is your, like, you know, it's just a lack of education, a lack of a lot of things. But, you know, together, the whole hope here and point is to just like to do more, to learn more, to educate our people more, and just in essence that we would just become better. So piggybacking off of Kenyatta, I'm huge on life skills and self-care. My next guest is Yaman Figures. He is also an ex-NFL player, and he is a fitness trainer and will speak on the benefits of exercising for your mental health.
All right, guys, my name is Jamon Figures. I'm from Fort Pierce, Florida. I played in the NFL for a good 5 years, and I went to Kansas State University. All right, so I didn't tell Issa this story yet, but we had an argument about mental health. Not an argument, but a disagreement about mental health, 'cause I'm a person that really disagree with mental health. But I finally went and got tested, the 5-hour evaluation. I got diagnosed with anxiety. Yeah, I got diagnosed with anxiety, but I took some therapy. I'm still going through it right now. But it's all good now. But thank you. Yeah, it's like a 5-hour test, really long, and a physical. But I'm here to explain the exercise. So after that, I studied exercise and mental health. It goes together hand in hand. So with exercise, it helps increase depression and anxiety, and it boosts the brain. So it goes like more you exercise, the better you get past it, and it keep you energized and it keep you healthy. We know it helps heart disease, cancer, prevents all that stuff. But now the studies that I've been doing and reading about is that it helps a lot with depression and anxiety. The more you exercise, it's self-confidence. And self-confidence, it goes hand in hand with exercising, and it boosts your energy level and your positivity about yourself. So I want to thank her for that. But I want all you guys to go get tested too, if you can, because NFL have us do it every year, and I finally did it after probably 10 years, and I did it, and I want to thank you for that. All right, and I'm here to answer any questions too.
So I love a story that ends with I was right. My final guest here is Mr. Frank Castle. He's from Miami.
Since I'm the last guest, I guess, so I got to get out of gusto. I got to go. How everybody doing? I go by the name of Frank Castle, 13. I'm from Miami, rapper, actor. But before Frank Castle, I'm Eve Nazine. As a young kid, I grew up in an environment where it was violence, it was murder, it was about money, it was about trapping. My older brothers, we grew up with no parents. My mom died after giving me birth, about 2 years. My dad is in prison, went in prison since I was 7. I traveled from houses to houses. My sisters and my brothers, they went through foster parents. So getting the rightful education that I was supposed to get, not the school books, but from your parents, and being raised from a parent. See, I had parents that was raising me that didn't know how to speak English. You know what I'm saying? So I had to learn quick. I had to grow up quick. My sisters tried to raise me at a young age, going from hotels to hotels, and they trying to make a living too because they didn't have no parent. So I found myself at 17 running away from my sisters, going to my cousin's house, going to school, but hanging out on these streets, you know. But I still kept the mentality of I had to make a way out. But the streets got the best of me because I was battling between what was for me and the streets. And the streets gonna always win. I don't care who you are, what you do. If you chose the street better than anything, you're gonna lose. The street has 0 losses. I ended up going to prison at the age of 19. I had attempted murder. I had premeditated murder. I was on gangland. I was on the news. And, you know, I had 40 years. They gave me 40 years. So with 40 years, I'm sitting in the jail cell, and I sit on the bunk, and everything that I did in my life flashed through my eyes like a Pixar picture. So depression did hit. You feel me? Depression hit. You know, I always ask myself, why me? You know what I'm saying? Why I had to be raised how I was raised. And I end up picking up some courses, you know, going to family relations. And while I was in prison, I kept the hope and I kept the faith. And I was listening to every youth that come in there, every young kid, 17, 18, with life sentences. And they used to tell me they had their parents out there. And every time I spoke to a kid, it gave me an enlightenment about myself. Like, damn, how could I have all this time and I'm still like I could help somebody with what they're going through. Like, you could have a lot of depression going within yourself, but somebody gonna come for you to ask you to help them with something. And you're gonna have more strength to help them than to help your own self. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. So during the process of doing the time from first 5 years, going crazy, went through war, got stabbed, did all that, was in the gang, you know. But I was still rapping while God blessed me, you know, I had to give away all the little selfish things I did. And I asked God, if I give away all this stuff, what you'll give me? He gave me a blessing. You know, I went back on a pill, I got out. In the process of me getting out, you know, when I got out, you know, you have old friends, you have people, you know, you see what's going on. And the depression that you'll have is a depression of catching up. You get what I'm saying? That's the first depression you will have, because you will see that, dang, you out here now you have to catch up. I had a son at the age of 18. When I went in, he was born. So I have a son to look after, so I got to go look for jobs, and I'm like, I can't stand here. These people telling me, come back. Or we'll call you, because it's an ugly look. So, of course, I went with what I know best, which is back to the streets, you know, start hanging out again, you know, feeling comfortable. And I got jammed up again. And when I got jammed up again, the crazy thing about it is this time it was direct. Like, it was direct. It was no getting away. And I'm going to tell you, it was 2 days before my birthday. And I put the police on the chase. And when I stopped the car, it was in front of a church. And when I got out the car, they slammed me on the floor. I couldn't hear nothing. And when I look up, you know, it's a podium. It tells you Bible study and everything like that. So when I looked up, it said 629 Bible study. And 629 is my birthday. So I know that it was something that I was doing that grabbed me right back in there. I had to tighten up. So I went back in, whatever, this and that, you know, I got bond. So when I got bond, I know something I had to do that I asked God for. I had a promise that I made with God saying, you know what, when I get out, talk to the young kids, let these kids know that prison ain't for them. This ain't for them. I always go back to that. So I started getting in the community, starting to give back to the community, you know, Christmas, Thanksgiving. And through all my problems, through everything, through all the problems that we go through, no matter what you going through, depression, stress, through all of that, it's something good going to come out of that if you just keep pushing through. You know, I never got counseling before. I never got counseling, and I know none of my family members ever got counseling because I could see it in their kids. And my cousin right here could tell you, I deal with my little nephews right now. And it's hard for them to understand, even though I show them. I told them, use me as an example to not go through what I'm going through. And they still chose the path that I went through. So, and I'm still chasing them to this day to get out the streets. And I'm going through my own depression. You get what I'm saying? So we started a little company, Fall and Rise, and then we started a little Haiti Baby with helping people and talking to people. So while I'm learning and going at the same way with my problems, I got to deal with my nephew's problem, and they young. They like 17, 18, and my son is 15. And, you know, I have to pause with him to deal with them because they're deep in the streets, and they lost. They don't know. So if you've been through something and you know, like, damn, they taking the same step you took, and you can see what's going on, where they end up, and you trying to stop them, and they're being resilient to that. So that's more depression, adding more depression on what you got already. So I'm in a realm with like, I still deal with them, but I pray for them more and pray for myself more. You get what I'm saying? And the thing that's bring depression on these kids today is social media. That's one form that bring depression on these kids today, social media, because everybody wants the bling bling. Everybody wants the car. Everybody want to do fraud. Everybody want to do this. Everybody talking about you capping. Everybody want to be gang. That's right there. That right there is like over. So if you're a parent in here, you got kids, and your kids giving you depression, you know, get your kids counseling. Get them counseling. Because I'm going to tell you, prison prepared me before I came out because they gave me family relations. I have 40 years, and family relations is for people with 2 years and under. So they was giving me these classes like, I'm like, well, I'm in these classes, man. I got all this time. I ain't going to see outside. But they was preparing me to come out here and talk about my problems. You get what I'm saying? How I could deal with my own problems and deal with others' problems. So if you feel like you depressed and somebody else come with you with their depression and stuff like that, and you able to help them, you can help yourself. You can help yourself. And by taking the first step, I took upon myself and tell myself, you know what? I'm finna go ahead and see a psychiatrist or something. Cause this, I can't take it. Like, everybody that come with their problems, they ain't worried about my problems. Your problems ain't nothing. Worry about them for your family members, and it's not even their fault. You know, if you have family members that was raised, like, you know, you have sisters and brothers that was raised with no parents, and how they chose to raise their kids, they don't know how to be a parent to their kid. It's not their fault because they never seek the right physicians and the right people to put them on the right track. So we all gotta, like, if you know somebody close to you that's dealing with depression, y'all deal with it together. Y'all make men's and have little group meetings. Y'all have to come over here. Y'all can sit down and, girl, let me tell you about me. And you tell me about you. And this how we gonna do to fix this. You know what I'm saying? Make that step. Be somebody to make that step. She's doing something good. I came all the way from, this is how I met her. Let me tell you how I met her. If y'all don't know already, her husband is a boxer. First Haitian heavyweight boxer. And when she met me, she was like, you know, Frank, I need, you know, I'm in my rapping lane. I'm doing my rapping stuff. I'm getting big. Everybody knowing me. She like, Frank, I need your help. We need to go ahead and promote Berman. I said, you know, I'm rapping. She said, how much it'll cost? I said, it's for free. She said, for real? I said, for free. She said, nah, you doing your rapping stuff you gonna do for free? So we took like 2 years. 2 years promoting. I put myself on hold. I ain't asked for nothing. I'm going through my problem. Not one day I asked them for $1, nothing, this and that. They called me, Frank, we in Miami, we need to promote. I had a job interview, man. Forget the job interview. I'm going to help them promote. You get what I'm saying? I'm going to help them. And by me doing that, I was dealing with my problems too at the same time. And not knowing it. Not knowing it because I'm watching her bust her ass like, she busting her ass like, damn. She got to worry about her and Berman problems. She got worried about her bird problem, and I'm learning from that. Even fighting with my nephews, I'm learning from that. Like, yo, I have a son, so every little direction they go, whatever this, now I know what corner to hit with my son. But I still fight for them. You know, don't give up. Don't give up on them kids. Don't give up on them kids, because sometimes the kids, I ain't gonna lie, I'm big, I be roughing them up. Ask my cousin, I put them in yokes. They jump out the car and run. I be like a juvenile direct. I run after them. I do all that. Calm them down. They be ready. Be ready to huff and puff, because these kids grow these days. I don't know what they eating, but they be ready to fight. But I don't let the depression kill me. I don't let it do nothing to me. I fight it. You get what I'm saying? The most the depression could do to me, it makes me eat and gain weight. That's it. Other than that, I fight it, and me through fighting it, I get a blessing out of it. You feel me? I get a blessing out of it. I want to thank you for having me out here, and thank y'all. If y'all dealing with a problem with depression with y'all kids, seek help for them. Don't go for yourself first. Seek help for them first, and they'll probably appreciate it at the end. Thank you.
Thank you, Frank. To piggyback off on Frank and kind of wrap it up here really quick, I just want to say or talk to my parents, whichever camera it is, and just say, I understand you may be dealing with X, Y, and Z, but just try to reel it in with the kids a little bit more on their whereabouts, what they're doing. The number one thing I can say to you is to have a relationship with your children. That is the most important thing that you can do with your children. So with that said, I want to thank all of my panelists and my co-hosts, everyone for coming out. Like, this really melts my heart. I also wanted to kind of invite you guys next month. Every month we'll have a forum here on every third Tuesdays, I think. Right here at 7, we'll have refreshments, and then we'll start at 7:30. And each month we'll have a specific mental disorder or illness that we'll speak of. And I think next week is depression and anxiety in the minority communities. And that I will give like education, and we'll just kind of tackle that in its depth instead of just, like the first one is just like a rally, like I said earlier, to kind of get everyone going and invite everyone else out for next month. I think it's August 20th, the third Tuesday of every month. Yes, so I'm going to open up the discussion to the audience.
You should diagnose people in here, like people that really need it. Maybe they need it. They don't have the means of paying for it. You can diagnose a couple people here.
I appreciate that. Yes, I think everyone should seek counseling. I'm not going to just walk up to people and diagnose people. There's confidential laws with that, but if that's something we are working on, and I think Douglas is going to speak on that as far as promoting. Devin.
Just as a person, you could have counseled him, with the attention of someone that was licensed beside you. Maybe you could have helped him, get out of his.
Yeah, we did. We tried.
Sometimes it just takes. Sometimes it takes a human thing. It's human thing, the heart, right? Like you said, there's no one that can deal with this situation. He wasn't gonna talk to no one. He wanted to talk to someone real, which is a real person.
So that's something else too that I'm trying to promote also is counselors who are of color, because a lot of people don't like to relate to, the typical, or I shouldn't say typical, but like white personnel or white therapists, because sometimes they can't relate, in all honesty. You know what I'm saying? And they can textbook teach you, but they can't relate to you or understand where you're coming from in whatever situation you're dealing with. So I do have some therapists on my page. So you guys can follow me on Officially Issa on Facebook and Instagram, and I'm going to also be promoting the community activists and therapists who are of color. And Kenyatta, Stairways to Success.
Part of our plan and our program is to continue to open up these forums, to have these discussions. So we're going to take some time to actually share. we're going to have our community actually share with us, since we do have our therapists here, and just kind of have some open dialogue. We have about 10 more minutes to have some discussion. But the reason we're doing these open forums is to give a safe space for us as minorities to be able to speak, engage, and to be engaged in our community. But we're trying to create a program for the community. Our focus as a city, and what I'm trying to bring to the city, is an actual vehicle to allow for us to provide free service. Some of us don't have the access to the therapists or the counselors or have the ability to actually speak with someone. But if we can provide that service as a city to our residents, then we can work together and improve the quality of life in our city.
Does anyone have a question, concern? Want to piggyback off Mr. Reggie?
Yes, I have a question. What's the best way to deal with like social media? Because me dealing in the business that I'm in, I deal with social media a lot, and right now, to me, I feel like social media is the devil. Because there's some good things on there, but it's really crazy, and like your man Frank said, like it's promoting all this crazy stuff, and it's kind of hard to not see it. So like, what's the best way to deal with social media? Because like I said, it's just crazy.
So specify what your interest, what your concern is with social media.
I would say just like the negative perceptions of, for one, us, people of my color, how we were looked upon in social media. Like it sometimes it gets to me.
Okay.
And it makes me feel a certain way sometimes, and especially like I said with what I do, you can't feel a certain way to a certain group of people because of what they say. You know what I mean? And you're trying to balance everything, but it's really hard sometimes.
So what I like to teach my clients is mental strength. You have to, one, know who you are and how you deal with things, and then two, you have to prep yourself mentally for anything that you're dealing with, especially if you know something that's going to be a trigger to you. Then you just have to if it's something, of course, for you, it's your career, so you have to go on it, but you have to prep yourself mentally every day. Say positive affirmations in the morning. Know who you are and own it. So that when you sit there and you have all this negative feedback, that's to come with social media. But to sit there and just know that, hey, I'm doing this for X, Y, and Z. I am not who they say I am. No one should validate who you are. You understand? So you have to validate yourself first and foremost every day. You know what I'm saying? So something somebody else say is just something that you have to and I can't just say, oh, just brush it off, because it's not just easy. It's easier said than done. So when you take something, it takes concern, you just have to learn different coping skills on how to deal with it and know yourself and how to deal with it as well. Marissa?
I actually wanted to say something. I think you have to manage your social media intake, right? It's kind of like a diet. If you put bad stuff into your body, bad stuff is going to come out, right? So what I do is I wake up early and I like to read first. I like to start my day on myself, right? So when I wake up, I don't look at social media. I don't look at no emails. I don't do anything with my phone. So I read for an hour, maybe listen to motivational tapes, listen to stuff that puts power and energy into me. So now when I finally do go on social media and I see that negative stuff, I just scroll right by it, right? Because it's going to be there. It's the world we live in. It's social media. We're going to see positive things. We're going to see negative things. Unfortunately, negative things get more of the gravitational pull. It draws you in more. But if I work on myself more in the morning, give myself that power and energy, scroll right past it to the point where you get on social media and they'll say, it's been a crazy day in Palm Beach. And I'll say, well, I don't even know what happened. Right? And then anytime somebody posts something negative, you see 200, 300 comments. You post something positive, it's not the same. Right?
When kids growing up, you give them a little name, Peanut. You give them that little name you give them. So on the streets, when they go into school, they want everybody to call them Peanut. And they build this character in their head about Peanut. That character in their head is Peanut, but at home his name is John. But when he get home, he acts like John. On the street, he acts like Peanut. So they don't know how to, because Peanut is a character. They don't know how to transform themselves into their own self. So when they on the streets, Peanut probably rob, Peanut probably steal, Peanut probably be with guys of jokester, school clown, but at home, quiet, sneaky. So when you calling them by their real name now, after you done gave them the name, they want you to, nah, my name ain't John, call me Peanut. No, Peanut becomes a character. A lot of these kids get characterized by the name that was given to them, the name they made for themselves on social media. There's a lot of things with these rappers too. These rappers make a name. They don't know how to. They don't know how to convert their name into their real selves. You know what I'm saying? When our name is a stage name to get money, is a character to get money. Now, when you're not in character mode, you're not getting money. You become yourself. So what they don't know how to separate it. Some become the whole character, their whole life, and that will cause the problem for them. That would cause the whole demographic of the Instagram thing to be so messed up because people don't know how to characterize themselves from what they made up.
My reaction to normally negative things, I used to take it very personally. And then I went through something that was real, like real life issues where it didn't matter anymore. So literally, I'd be like, screw them people and stroll. Like it really doesn't even affect me at all. Like I'll block my mama. Like no BS. Like my husband, like you really blocked your mom? I don't need that energy right now. I'll unblock her in like 3 days when I'm. So if it takes just blocking someone or even snoozing them for 30 days, social media gives you a big platform to not see the people that puts that negative drama on your timeline. You can snooze. You don't have to necessarily block them or unfollow them. You can unfollow. You can snooze them for 30 days. If they're just because sometimes people are just going through their own thing, and normally you're like, she's a good vibe or he's a good vibe normally on social media, and then all of a sudden it's just like crazy, and you're like, okay, this is too much. So just snooze it for 30 days, and then give yourself that 30-day probation period. And if after 30 days it don't work out, then hey, it just don't work out.
We got time for another question, a concern, a thought. Anybody want to just kind of share?
I'll make it quick. I don't have a question. I just wanted to say thank you to the males that are in here. As females, clap for that. As women, we're told we're emotional creatures, and it's easy for us to talk about all this stuff and everything. But seeing black men talk about things that are mental health or emotions or disorders that they may be dealing with, like openly expressing that to not only each other but anybody that's in the room, is definitely eye-opening. I work with kids in a diversion program, and a lot of them are males, and a lot of the times they don't want to talk to anybody unless it's a male. They want to feel related to anybody wants to feel related to. So thank you as a black male that you're opening up, and being vulnerable and being honest about the things that you're going through so that you can help other people, even if you need help yourself. So thank y'all for that.
I have a suggestion for Frank. All right, I'm a kind of person I grew up without my mom, without my dad. Seen my mom do drugs right in front of me. Visited my dad at a drug rehab place, and so a lot of years I dealt with a lot of that trauma. Right, and one of the ways I was able to deal with that was comedy. When I felt that type of depression, that mental pull on me, and I'm like, how am I going to get out of this? Right, because I walk around like I'm good, but then I go home, I'm just tired. Right? Then I just start putting on different comedy, different things that make you laugh, that can lift your spirit. You know what I mean? So if you find yourself in the moments of your nephews, try to put on some comedy to lighten your own mood, right? And then
I don't really let them mess up my mood, you know what I'm saying? Because that's something I done overpassed.
All right. Oh, no, I'm talking about the depression, though. Yeah, when that come, like.
Depression comes, but when depression comes, it flushes right back out.
Okay.
I be dealing with them right now, and I'll go ahead and, all right, man.
we have one time for one more or no? Okay. One more question or concern. Yes, sir.
I just more want to thank my boy Ricky up there. I've been following him since about 2015. All of you guys, actually, all of you guys. He's been an inspiration to me. I'm not from West Palm Beach. When I first came here, somebody pointed him out to me, and I started following him on social media. And the way he shares himself is what got to me the most. You know, I'm a young man. I've been doing time since I was 14 years old, in and out of prisons. You name it, I've been through it. But guys like that help me share my story, you know. And when it comes to speaking to somebody, that was one of the best things that ever happened to me. I sat down with a lady and I talked to her about my life, man, and she made me realize that what I was going through and what I went through wasn't normal. She taught me about PTSD, taught me about anxiety. She taught me about a lot of stuff. And it wasn't about what she said to me or what she gave me. It was her giving me the platform to express myself, to get all that stuff off my chest, to have somebody that was willing to listen to me. So a lot of
that
times.
right there is all therapy is about.
Absolutely.
That's all it's about. So the stigma that we shouldn't speak or we shouldn't talk, it's just something of the past, you know. And I appreciate you for sharing that, because that's kind of exactly what I want to kind of relay and convey to everyone. You know, therapy is just someone to get all that out of you. You're not supposed to hold in all. Your brain's not meant for that. You know, it's not meant to hold in stress and trauma and issues. And it goes beyond just speaking to your girlfriend and just say, hey, X, Y, and Z. When it starts to affect your mental health, you need to go out and get some professional help. So I want to thank everyone for coming out. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I definitely want to thank Ms. Issa, because she's been talking about this for a long time, and just to bring it to the community and just to allow for us to share and partake. She's a blessing to us and what we're going to be moving forward with. So make sure you guys bring somebody with you to her next one. Couch Time with E is going to be on August 20th. We're going to be right back here in the chamber, and we're going to be doing this for a few months. So please come out. Make sure you guys come out and support her. Continue to be a blessing for the community.
Thank you.
So
Thank
you
you
so much.
Thank you.
One last thing, we will be announcing that we're going to be hosting our second series for When They See Us. It's a movie that was actually put on about the Exonerated Five, and we're going to be hosting it at Tate's Gym on the 25th, this Thursday. So if you guys have the time, please come out and support it. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. We're going to watch the movie for an hour, then we're going to have a panel discussion to talk about the actual Exonerated Five that were wrongfully convicted as teenage young boys.
So with that, that's a pretty deep movie, and it's going to get a lot of emotions stirred up. So you might want to kind of lighten the mood before you put the movie on, because there's going to be a lot of upset people in there while they're watching the TJ.
We did episode 1 last week at Cunningham Park, and we had actually Ms. Issa is going to be our therapist this week, sitting on the panel with some of our judges, some of our police officers, few people from the community that are going to be a support for everybody there. So we will definitely provide support, because we know the emotions are going to be opened up. I want to thank some of our hosts, our co-host, Ms. Marissa. Thank you so much, ma'am. Mr. Lamar Goldwire, thank you so much. Homegrown, thank you. And again, please join us again August 20th, Couch Time with E. Thank you, Ms. Issa. You're a blessing. Thank you so much. Guys, have a great night. Thank you.